So fast forwarding just a little bit, everything kind of worked its way through the SBDC. We're now advertising that you're willing to take on businesses. And how did that go? Did the floodgates open? What was the reception from business owners? Were they welcoming with open arms? Did you have to convince them? Yeah, I would love to hear more about how that
And do they still have that same email? Did your pitch get any better? I mean, let's
has gotten better. Our pitch has definitely gotten better. So, we joke all the time that, we say it with Jim too, you drive, or you're building the car as you drive it. And so it was so funny. Cara and I, if there was an issue that was long-term, it meant we were dealing with it next week. So short-term issues were things we had to deal with that week, and then long-term was next. But so through the iterations, we developed a team, the CrimDell Small Business Network. CrimDell is based on a bridge that's on W&M Mary's campus, because we see ourselves as the bridge from business at W&M Mary School to the Williamsburg community. And through our email pitch, I'll have you know, we actually developed a pretty good network of businesses that we were in contact with. And then we kept up those communications through a weekly interactive Zoom series called Crisis Conversations. So another way that we were trying to connect with the businesses, we'd have faculty members either come or present a video on a topic that they thought would be important to business owners dealing with COVID. And we had owners come and, hear whatever the faculty member had to say, but then we had them break out into sessions that actually had them talking with other business owners, talking with students, talking with that executive partnership network we talked about within W&M Mary. And so from that, we were starting to just kind of understand the issues business owners were facing, engage with them, figure out what they were going through, so that when we finally had our connection with SBDC and we could form teams of students to provide counseling, we had a decent network that we got to present the opportunity to. So it was almost, by that time, it was just a new iteration of, hey, you've been talking with us for months. Now we can finally offer you these one-on-one counseling sessions.
What's interesting in there, though, is there's still more work being done the entire way, right? It's not like, hey, I put out the fishing line and I'm waiting, right? And so like whenever I hear something, I really try to dissect it and say, okay, this is what really happened there. And so you guys continue to grow relationships when no one told you to, right? Some of those went fine. Some of them went better than others, right? Some of them probably did nothing with emails never being returned to you. But then during that kind of, let's say, wait and see game, when the fishing rod and line are out. I don't fish. I don't talk about when it comes to that. But
that's a question for Cara. She can explain that.
That's another lesson.
There you go. But then you're waiting for that line, to come out, and then you go, oh well, we could still do this other thing here while we're waiting for some of those fish to get caught. And you do the crisis, what you call it, crisis conversations with some of the network of people that you met, and so you're throwing out another line, right? And so it's, some might say it's a bowl of spaghetti, you throw it on the wall and see which one sticks. And so it seems like actually many of those things did stick, but because you were throwing out so many lines, when more opportunities and more exposure came, you already had established an even more track record, even though you guys are just students during this whole time, which is very interesting. And so, so how did you took the people that were on the Zoom calls that were there and said, hey, like now we have these other opportunities for you. How did you guys get to that kind of place?
Yeah, basically exactly what you said. Yeah.
We also had our newsletter too.
Yeah. So that was another thing that we realized working with the SBDC, there is just a ton of resources that are coming out to small business owners. I think I personally signed up for maybe 5 or 6 different email lists that were targeted at small business recovery during COVID-19, which meant that I was getting some days probably 30 or 40 emails with resources and more resources and another article to read and another update on PPP. And this is what you have to read about the EIDL loans and everything like this. So we are seeing the absolute fire hose of knowledge, of information, a lot of it fantastic coming down and we saw another little opportunity to stay in touch with the people that have reached out to us and start putting together really basic newsletters. And at first that was us just gathering like 6 to 10 of what we saw as the most relevant resources that came through our email that week, sending it back out, letting people know that if they have any questions, they could reach out to us and we could dive deeper. We could explain something. We could help them find a different resource like that. So I've gotten lost. I don't remember where that initial question started, but that was another thing. And so once we were able to offer these services, we already had this email list built up and we were able to put in an advertisement at the top. Hey, please come sign up for services. We're ready to work with you. We've got students on the line waiting. And that's where we are now, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.